Hi, welcome. Hi,
Thank
welcome
you.
to AUMARCHE. And today in the room we have Agathe with us. So yeah, so for those who don't know like who Agathe is, maybe you can introduce yourself, your vision, and your ideas in the fashion.
Sure. Hi, thanks for having me. So yeah, my name is Agathe. I'm French. I'm a footwear designer. I just finished my studies at IFM. I specialize in footwear. And prior to that, I studied womenswear at ESMOD Paris. And I worked a bit in jewelry, accessories. I went from a very broad like women's wear study to something more specific, so accessories and then footwear. And yeah, I've always liked drawing. I've always liked shoes. So I think, yeah, it makes a lot of sense that like what I'm doing today makes sense with what I like, basically.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, I just recently gonna graduate, right? So can you tell me a little bit about your graduate collection?
Sure. So for this collection, we were given 6 months to make it.
Mm-hmm.
I started thinking about it during the pandemic, during the first lockdown. And like there's this idea that's always been scary to me is that like with the rise of social media and internet, it feels like anonymity doesn't exist anymore. And so I
Yeah.
really wanted to make a collection of shoes that would like create a sense of hiding, like being anonymous again.
Mm-hmm.
So by through the use of shoes, which is maybe a bit like not common, because you might not think that shoes or feet can define your identity, but in a way, I think they can. And so yeah, the whole idea was really hiding from surveillance. So I used some like I made shoes that look like pants or like they are
Yeah.
the continuation of your clothes.
Mm-hmm.
Or shoes that maybe don't exactly look like shoes. Like you can see the outline, you can kind of like it's very suggested, but it's not obvious that it's shoes when you look at them. So that was really the whole idea for this collection.
That's very interesting because I saw one of your designs like you using denim fabric, right?
Yeah, yeah,
On the
exactly.
shoes. I think that's really interesting. It's almost like it's the disguise of the trousers, but it's actually shoes. I really like the ideas. So so normally so this is your final collection and like what's your regular design approach like when it comes to like doing fashion designs or shoes or accessories or even women's wear when you're doing.
You mean like my work process or
Yeah, like maybe your vision or like how do you normally get your imagination, like inspirations or like ideas?
so that's been evolving for the past year, I would say.
Mm-hmm.
Before I was really thinking more about the aesthetic, the final aesthetic, more than the meaning, I think.
Yeah.
Um, and I was basing it a lot on my personal life. And then I realized maybe that's not the way to do it because something very personal to you might not make others feel the way it makes you feel.
Mm-hmm.
So I tried to move a bit away from that, and I really wanted to connect meaning with beauty, or not, or ugliness. um,
Yeah.
and so I made this project last year, like
Mm-hmm.
a year ago, for Adidas. It was a partnership between my school and Adidas, and
Yeah.
that's when, because we had to do a sustainability project. So the idea was to make sustainable sneakers.
Mm-hmm.
That was the only like thing that we had to do.
Yeah.
And so I thought like it's really cool that we have to use the sustainable materials, but like what is the story that I want to tell with them? And so I thought
Mm-hmm.
maybe if I work on something that has to do with sustainability very deeply, it will make more sense and be more powerful. So I decided to do sneakers collection based on natural disasters.
Oh,
Uh, yeah, that's a bit
that's really interesting.
like it's
But
funny
what,
because
yeah,
it's
what does
it's
that
something
mean? Yeah.
Well, it's something that's scary. It's like, for instance, because I looked at future predictions. This is
Uh-huh.
something that I use in my work process now. I think it's super
Yeah.
interesting. Like, not only like fashion trends, I think it's like a broader vision of the world that we're moving towards. And
Uh-huh.
so it was a forecast for, I think, 2030, something like this.
Oh,
And it
so
said,
close.
yeah, really close. But still, in a way, you know, in your
Yeah.
mind, it seems far. And
Yeah.
it said that by 2030 or 35, the natural disasters would increase. Like, for instance, earthquakes, the ice that's melting in the North Pole. Well, everything that has to do with climate change, basically.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And so I thought, like, if I make this collection showing those natural disasters that are so scary, but at the same
Mm-hmm.
time quite beautiful, I think,
Yeah.
by using sustainable materials, then everything is connected, and I think it's more powerful.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's what I did for this project, and I was really pleased with the results, especially considering I had never done sneakers before, never.
Yeah.
And so that was a challenge, but I loved it. And since then, I changed my process of work, and so now it's really focused on the meaning, and I think the aesthetic follows. Usually, I try.
That's really interesting because I think like yeah, obviously like sustainability is really important, and in fashion like the overstocking, like using like waste material is just like getting crazy. I mean, it's like I think it's like 100% or more than 100% of like overstocking. This is like I don't know. It's I think I heard what I saw the number of it. It's just like
Yeah.
I mean, this is something I would really need to do something about. But I kind of want to wind back to your graduate collection a little bit.
Yeah.
You talk about like you think that this kind of like privacy thing through with like a social media and internet things. Do you think like social medias or internet or cookies, some people said,
Yeah.
like sort of kind of define who we are or like sort of kind of lead us to become who we are right now in a way?
Well, I think it's not a conscious choice.
Mm-hmm.
But I think, I mean, all of us were very influenced by what we see, what we hear. And so if the information that you get has been chosen for you, uh,
Mm-hmm.
even if you don't want to, of
Yeah.
course, I think it's gonna maybe not define you. I think that's a bit like extreme, but
Yeah.
influence you absolutely. And also that's why the like social media influencers are called
Mm-hmm.
influencers, because even if you don't want to, you see them on your feed and you are influenced, of course. Um, and yeah, no, definitely it's a super scary thing that like people get all this information about you, and like just like that they will give you something that like show you something that you're probably gonna like, or at
Yeah.
least like look at and maybe think, oh, like what is this? No, it's really scary. It's like I think internet is can be a wonderful tool, but also like there's something quite
Yeah.
malevolent about it.
Uh-huh. And this sort of kind of subconsciously give you the information
Yeah.
that like building up like one like maybe like when you say I don't know like a day, 2 days, or a whole month, then you sort of kind of just lead you to like that product. Sometimes just sort of kind of like change the I don't know, I wouldn't say shopping behavior or like your real
Mhm.
identity, but like sort of just kind of like kind of I wouldn't say redefine you, but I sort of just kind of become like the way that you dress, the way you do things, or the way other people do things. Or, for example, your friends and family, they probably dress you this way around with because of this prediction or this like the push advertising they give it. And then sort of kind of just influence you, like not directly, but probably from like other people's. I think this is like really interesting to talk about as well. So you did a lot of different kind of design from like women's wear to jewelry design, like accessories, and to footwear. Is there any? Do you think that like all these designs, like the process is a little bit different because I don't know, like because sometimes like you people start get inspired by the material, or
Mhm.
people sometimes get inspired by the shape, the silhouette. So is it like something different between among all these like different kind of product-ish?
Yeah, I think actually, yeah, I think so. So I started with womenswear, as you said. Um,
Mm-hmm.
so how I started was on my own in my bedroom, and at that, like I don't know, I was 12 years old. It's been a
Wow.
while.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had this sewing machine in my room, and I would just like cut up fabrics and like with no pattern, nothing. I would just like go for it, and somehow
Mm-hmm.
usually it would actually turn out to be like wearable.
Really good. Yeah.
But I mean, the details were awful, but
Uh-huh.
I didn't really have a lot of like sewing lessons, so it was really on my own. And at that time, I think it was really like the process for me, it was just doing it in a very fearless way because I
Mm-hmm.
didn't really care if the result was not good. I would just
Mm-hmm.
take it and try it. And if it's good, it's good, and that's great. And otherwise, you just do something else. And so for women's wear, that's how I worked. So I think it was really a lot about of the fabric, the texture, the prints, just like I think you see a fabric and you can tell what would look good like with it.
Yeah.
How you can make it look good.
Yeah.
For jewelry, it was very different because like the way I worked in jewelry was for a small French brand, and
Mm-hmm.
the head designer, the creator of the brand, she had this very specific aesthetic with metals. So she would have metal shapes, and I would just like it was more of a graphic design work because I would draw like the inside. So I would draw little flowers or
Yeah.
do some letterings, things like that. So for me, like that, I can't say like how I got inspired because I just did what she told me.
Yeah.
Basically. And no, for footwear it's so different because um I mean, shoes are items,
Yeah.
in my opinion. Before they are shoes, they're just items. You don't need to wear them for them to look nice. You can just sit them on a shelf and they will look great.
True. Yeah.
I think clothes are very different. They need a person to exist, in my opinion, whereas shoes have their life of their own.
Mm-hmm.
And so for me, it's always, I think in a way, I've always envisioned it as product design. So it's really, and that's why also like in some schools, when you study product design, after you can become a footwear designer.
Yeah.
It's not my path, but I know a lot of people have done this, and I think it makes a lot of sense. But no, I mean for shoes, I do my little drawings, tiny little drawings all over a page, and then I just think, oh, like maybe that could be nice. And sometimes in the process of making, you get
Mm-hmm.
very different results from what you expected, but maybe it can lead you to another direction that you like. That's usually how I do it. Yeah.
Yeah, because I think shoes design are really different from like let's say women's wear clothing,
Oh
because
yeah.
clothing you can drape, you can like
Mm,
experiment with different fabric and you'll come up with differently, like even the same like pattern, it can come up
yeah.
with a total different like feeling. But shoes wear, I mean I don't have any experience on shoes wear design or that this kind of thing. So I don't know, but the when you say it's more of like for you it's more of an object, I totally agree with that in the way, because I mean you see like a lot of like brands like for example like the old Alexander McQueen, their
Yeah.
shoes wear are really sculptural or like
Mm,
or something in details. Or even now
totally.
you see like Iris Van Herben,
Yeah, yeah,
it's like
yeah.
really interesting too. It's
Amazing.
almost like an art piece that you really will put it on the shelf to be like, oh wow, this is like a masterpiece. So I really do agree with that. And I think that I don't know like which designer exactly it is, but I think there's one designer who's actually studying like architectural design. Actually, in the end,
Yeah.
become a shoeswear designer, and then just like, have this like really interesting cut edge like design. So yeah, I think that's really interesting. So like when you actually do you think that it's like connected the one design to the other? Like when you like get, do you get in, for example, like now you're doing shoes wear, like do
Mm.
you get any like for example like women's wear ideas or like I don't know design elements from the women's wear?
Actually, it's really funny that you say this because I do. Um, for my last collection, so the graduate collection about anonymity, so I have a few shoes that are made out of fabric.
Yeah.
So as you said, denim, and also I bought some jeans that I just cut up basically because I thought like the denim finishing was nice and I wouldn't be able to reproduce it to make it look real. So I thought I might as well do some upcycling. And I also used a pantsuit that I also cut up to keep just the bottom of the pants with the hem because I thought it looked super nice. And because also since the idea is that it's mixed with clothes, I think it's nice to use real clothes. It makes more sense. And so for those pantsuit shoes, I draped the pants on the shoes. I made like, it's a bit difficult to explain, but basically I just made the lining of the shoe.
Yeah.
And normally that's like the last thing you would do, but I kind of, I like to do things a bit differently. So I made it first. And then I would drape the pants on it to give it those that you get when your pants really fall on your shoes. When you wear real
so it's
pants.
like a mannequin of the leg, right?
Yeah. And so the idea was also like, since it's my last it was my last collection during my studies. I thought it would be nice to like reconnect with what I started with, which was womenswear.
Yeah, I think that's really interesting. You combine both of the things and then create something new. So from like the meeting with you that you said all your design are kind of like a little bit more feminine. So what do you think about like the modern femininity is? Because it changed quite a lot from the past to now. Like what do you think for you?
You know, that's a really difficult question. I think that's the most difficult you asked. Gosh, it's really hard because I think today femininity, masculinity, I can't say they don't exist anymore. I think they do, but I think they're just changing, and what it means to be a woman or a man is just not the same anymore because people identify to different genders. They feel differently. Like you can be anything now, and which I think is great. Like freedom. But then I think what I mean when I say that my work is feminine is I think it's like just being like, I want to make shoes for people, women or men, I don't care. Like men can wear my shoes, even if they were first designed for women. I would actually love that. But it's just like being yourself, I think, for me, is like being very fearless and not afraid to wear something very different. So then I'm wondering, is it really femininity that I want to talk about? Because like at first, I think when I started my studies, for me, femininity, it was high heels and ruffles, a very basic woman idea. And now I think I'm not sure that it is anymore because I mean, I myself, I don't wear heels every day, and I wouldn't say that I'm not feminine. So, it's really difficult. Feminine, like modern femininity, I think it's just like accepting who you are. I think that's what it is.
Yeah, I think like now gender, like it's especially like femininity and masculinity, it's just like really hard to define because now like people really cares about individualities. So like in a way of like, I think this is a really tough question. If you ask me the same question, I probably wouldn't know how to answer right like directly. But I like your answer, to be honest. I think just being who you are, I think just like how I think it should be. I think femininity.
Actually, I think I have an answer.
Yeah.
Not sure about it, but I'm just gonna.
No worries, just tell me.
Because it's something that I've been told like by teachers about my work or other people, and I think it's quite true. In all of my work since starting studying fashion, I'm gonna say, I think it's really I always try. I mean, maybe I don't try. Maybe it's just fair, but there's something very delicate. Even when I make big fat shoes with a huge platform, and when you walk, everyone can hear you, and it maybe isn't what like feminine. But yeah, I think for me it's really something delicate, even if maybe it's not obvious, you know, it's kind of hidden. But yeah, I think that's what it is for me.
Yeah, I think that's a better word for this, because I think somehow I think feminine, masculine, this is sort of kind of like the phrase that we are sort of in the sort of almost like going to something that we're probably not gonna use it in the future. Because I think delicate is probably a good word to like describe that what you think your design is. But if like now, like I have I design a dress or whatever, and people think, oh, this is really like feminine. I kind of don't understand like what actually that definition of feminine mean. So
it doesn't mean anything anymore. I kind of agree.
Yeah, I like to be honest, I quite like this idea of like actually doesn't mean anything anymore. So yeah, so what do you think your vision is for the future, like for your near future?
Near future would be finish my internship and get my diploma.
Yeah,
nice, because I don't
very important.
Yeah, that would be great. For starters, no, I'm considering, more than considering, starting a little like indie brand of sustainable, are they sustainable? Really, that's a question, but upcycled shoes.
Yeah.
So it's something I've been working on. The thing is, I have a lot of projects. I love to get, like, I love it when you have so many things to do that like you're always busy. I feel like if you have nothing to do, you're not gonna want to do anything. But if there's lots of things, it just keeps you with this energy. So I love getting too much work. I've been doing illustration for a while also on the side, for me, like nothing like published yet, maybe. But that's something I like to do. And maybe like the idea, like my ideal plan would be to work on my personal projects on the side. So illustration, that like brand, upcycling brand that I'm starting to work on, and also maybe like freelance for some brands, just to, you know, to get the experience, because I think it's really cool to start something new on your own. And I think the challenges that you're going to meet I think it's going to teach me a lot, but also just getting the experience. And I think that that's also like a learning curve that you have to go through. And I think like that would really be great. I know that the times are difficult. I know like I'm not the only one who's worried as a designer for our future, how we're going to find a job and all of that. It's definitely not easy and scary. But yeah, no, trying to be optimistic, gonna find a job and like work on my projects. Yeah,
I think that's quite important, because future, it's always really hard to say. Like in like 2019, you will never know that 2020 or 2021 is gonna be like this. So I mean, in a way that like I think like being like really energetic and like just like accepting all the challenges is sometimes a really good thing. And like doing your own side work on the side, like starting something new, it's also a good thing, because it's sort of kind of like a self like development. And at the same time do some freelance job, or like actually having an actual job, or like doing internship also is a good thing, because that will tell you like what actually you need more that you can actually learn. So yeah, that's really nice. So I need to ask this question because this is a topic of this issue. So tell me something new, like you actually experience, or you feel, or like you actually concern, anything, something new.
Something new. Oh gosh, I didn't think about this. Okay, I'm just gonna need a second.
Take your time.
Okay. Oh no, okay. I think I learned something new.
Yeah.
Oh no, wait, should I really say this now? Yeah, no, I'm gonna say it anyway. I discovered what it's like to be frustrated.
What? Oh
Frustration
my
is
God.
the new thing. Yeah, because it's like, but I think a lot of people can relate to this. When you go from a fashion school where you're used to doing everything from beginning to end, the
Yeah.
concept, the research, the designs, the making everything, um, you get like you're a little team on your own. Whereas when you're at an internship, have very specific tasks.
Yeah.
Depending on the size of like company that you work for. But if it's a big company, you have a specific job with specific things to do. You don't get to do all the things that you were prepared to do as a student.
Yeah.
That's frustrating, in my opinion. So yeah, I would say frustration. Sorry, it's not a positive, but I think it's important to talk about it because I don't know if students see this or read this.
Yeah.
If you're currently in a fashion school and it seems like so much is asked from you because really you learn to do several jobs in just
At the same time. Yeah.
yeah. And for one person, that can seem like a lot. But then you get used to it, and then by the end of your studies, it's a natural thing. And then you start to work or you do an internship or whatever. And even if you know that it's not going to be like your studies, knowing it and living it, two very different things.
Yeah.
So yeah, I would say, but I heard recently, because I've been listening to podcasts. That's also a new thing that I do. I listen to podcasts, and it's one on. Oh, sorry about that. It's one by this designer Guillaume Henry. He used to work for Carven, and now he's the designer of Patou. He says that.
Oh, Guillaume, I know.
Yeah, Guillaume Henry. Yeah, he's so good. I love him.
Yeah.
Guillaume Henry, if you see this, you can hire me. No, he says that frustration is like you need frustration to want to move forward and to create new things, and that it's really an important part of your work. And I agree with that. So yeah.
Yeah, having frustration is not always the best thing, a bad thing, because like what you want, or like how is it something that you can change, or is it something that you can actually fix, or is it something that you actually want? So yeah, I think that's really interesting. And I think like from the student to actual job, you're sort of kind of just that from doing everything to just one thing. And sometimes could be really frustrating because you want to do more, you want to learn more, you want to, so I do kind of understand that. But
also, like, I'm thinking like we're talking a lot about fashion, we're very focused on that, but I think a lot of people discovered frustration with COVID. And before, maybe we felt frustrated on small things, but I don't think we really understood what being frustrated is or means. And I feel like with the current situation, it's kind of teaching us like also patience, but frustration, I think, is the first feeling you'd get from everything that's happening. I mean, one of the first feelings. So yeah, I think it's a new thing for a lot of people.
Yeah, I think uncertainty is almost like the thing that like a lot of people that frustrated or sort of kind of being through. So I mean, I think there's a lot of way to solve it. Just like you need to slow down, like take a breathe, and like have a think, and then I think you will find out the new solution or new way or new start. I think that's a good thing. So I'm really glad that I have a chat with you today. So thank you very much.
Thanks for having me.